The unhurried art of Fika. In a world that spun like a frantic top, there lived a woman named Diamond. Her days were a blur of to-do lists and hurried sips of lukewarm coffee. She was always on the move, a human whirlwind of tasks and deadlines, believing that rest was a luxury she couldn't afford. But deep down, a quiet exhaustion hummed beneath the surface, a silent plea for a moment of stillness. The longest journey is the journey inward. One afternoon, as her mind raced and her body ached, a small, cozy cafe caught her eye. It was an island of calm in the choppy sea of her day. She hesitated then, as if guided by an unseen force, she pushed open the heavy wooden door. Her brain, a complex network of neurons and synapses, had been running on a high-octane fuel of cortisol and adrenaline. What it truly craved was a moment to downshift, to consolidate memories and boost creative thought, a break, a genuine pause. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of cinnamon and roasted beans. A kind, older man with a gentle smile stood behind the counter. His name was Silas, and he moved with a quiet, deliberate grace. He told her a fascinating fact. Coffee, originally discovered by Ethiopian goat herders, had been a social catalyst for centuries, a reason for people to gather and connect. He wasn't just making coffee, he was brewing a moment. Silas explained the concept of Fika, not as a simple coffee break, but as a sacred ritual. It is the art of intentionality, he said, a practice of stepping out of the current of life to appreciate the shores. He spoke of the importance of slowing down, of choosing to be present. Ritual is the bridge between the seen and the unseen. Diamond ordered a cup of coffee and a warm cinnamon bun. She sat at a small table, the warmth of the ceramic mug seeping into her hands. As she took her first sip, she closed her eyes. The science of it was simple yet profound. The sensory input, the aroma of the coffee, the warmth of the cup, activated her parasympathetic nervous system, calming her body and mind. It was a personal reflection on the simple act of being. She then turned her attention to the cinnamon bun. She noticed the delicate swirls of the pastry, the glistening sugar, the way the light caught the flaky crust. It was a meaningful lesson. Joy is not in things, it is in us. She realized that by slowing down, she could find immense pleasure in the smallest details of her life. Silas joined her at the table, a cup of his own in hand. They didn't talk about work or deadlines. They spoke of the weather, of the simple beauty of the day, and of the little moments that made up a life. It was a fascinating fact that in Sweden, Fika is a non-negotiable part of the workday, a time for colleagues to connect on a personal level, fostering trust and creativity. Their conversation was a gentle dance, a back and forth of shared humanity. Diamond felt a genuine connection, a sense of belonging she hadn't realized she was missing. She learned a meaningful lesson. The most important things in life are the connections you make with others. It was a connection born not of obligation, but of shared presence. When she finally stood to leave, she felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She looked back at her day with a positive retrospective, realizing that the 15 minutes she spent on Fika had made her more productive and centered than the previous 3 hours of frantic activity. Diamond returned to her life, but she was no longer a whirlwind. She had discovered the life cycle of Fika, the pause, the gathering, the savoring, the connection, and the reflection. It was a continuous practice, a small, manageable task that led to a greater sense of well-being. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. The secret of getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming tasks into small, manageable tasks, and then starting on the first one.